All right, you guys ready to get started? Yes. All right. So everybody's got your phones on silent. You got your notes, your notepad. Ready to take some notes? I can tell where my spit zone is, right? Either that or my body odor is just getting a little too much for everybody. I see how this works. Maybe we'll just take these chairs out, pull you guys forward. All right, so we're really going to get into stuff tonight. This is definitely one of the more technical workshops, and it's going to be a hard workshop. Yeah, I kind of consider this the next level nutrition class because we're going to get into some really technical stuff, and I know I'm getting into technical stuff when you guys start snoring. So take notes. I really congratulate you guys. You guys are the lifelong learners to be in this room right now and to be willing to dive just that much deeper. But lifelong learners do have some obstacles to overcome. There was a story one of my friends told, and I'm not sure if it was his family or if he stole it from another family, but he goes to Thanksgiving dinner one year. And he's just helping with the preparations. It's his girlfriend at the time, and they make a roast. So it's not a turkey, it's a roast. And so they go to put the roast in the pan, roast in the oven. They cut off about 6 inches off of one end, and then they stick it in the oven. And he's like, oh, that's interesting, doesn't think much of it. And then they go and they have a great meal. Well, come Easter time, they do it again. Same thing, 6 inches off of the end of the roast. And now he's starting to think to himself, why would they cut off 6 inches off of that roast? Like, what's wrong with that end of the roast? It's consistent. He doesn't say anything yet, though, because, he's still new in the family, newly engaged. He doesn't want to, cause any waves. Next Thanksgiving comes around. What do? 6 inches off the end of the roast. So now he's curious. Okay, so what is it about roast that you have to cut 6 inches off of it? And so he asks his now wife. This year goes by and he's now married. And she says, well, that's just the way my mom always did it. Well, mom's sitting right over there. And so he's like, well, why do you cut 6 inches off of the roast? She says, well, that's the way my mom always did it. And so fortunately, Grandma is also sitting over there. He's like, Grandma, why would you cut off 6 inches off of the roast? She said, well, the oven was too small, and so we had to in order to fit it in. And so that's a telling analogy for where we're at with health and nutrition, isn't it? Yeah. Most of what we do, and really most of the things that we consider genetic, are due to the fact that it was the way that our parents did it, because it was the way their parents did it, because it was the way that their parents did it. And so if we're going to break the cycle on some of these lifestyle diseases, then we have to break the cycle habitually as well. We have to understand why. And so I'm going to get into a lot of why today, a lot of details, and hopefully I'll be able to open a door up for you guys to teach you why I supplement, why I use what I use, why I recommend what I recommend, and just how I generally live my life to be able to be healthy so that I can live to 120 and not have to worry about paying a bill to assisted care, right? I always say, right, if you guys pay me $2,000 every single year to be a patient here in the office, you would have to come for 50 years to pay for 1 year of assisted living. Yeah. 50 years. If you paid me $2,000 every single year for chiropractic care, you would have to go for 50 years before that amount totaled the amount of 1 year of assisted living. And so my goal, as much as anything, is to give you more than your money back. In fact, the research on chiropractic is that if you are consistent with your chiropractic care for 5 years, you will save an average of 2/3 off of the average medical expenses. So it's basically, I'm paying you $7,000 to come to me and pay me $2,000. So you can see why I encourage lifelong chiropractic and why I don't encourage breaks, right? Because a break is actively choosing to get worse, right? And we'll get into more of that later as well. Welcome, Chris. Got to call you out, right? Right. I know, now you're in the spit zone. Get your towels out, umbrellas. All right, so let's start with World War I, and really World War I and World War II, because in 1909, they started really measuring this stuff, and they started measuring this stuff because they needed to support troops in Europe, and they needed to make sure that the industry at home was thoroughly supported. And so they started to recognize that there's certain nutrients that we need in our food. And so when they did these different things like, you know, only let you have so much bread, or only let you have so much corn, or only let you have so much veggies, it was based off of a specific formula based off of what we knew everybody needed. And those things broke down into protein, carbohydrate, fat, cholesterol, dietary fiber, 10 vitamins, and 9 minerals. Right? We now know that there's more than that, but that's what you expect from research that's done over 100 years ago, right? You know, back then, we thought there was a list of over 100 organs in your body that you didn't need at all. And so they would cut them out preemptively, preventatively. Now we know better, sometimes, unless you're talking about breast cancer, right? And just cut them off, you don't need them. But we had a foundation. And we've been able to develop that foundation to the point where we start understanding more of this. Now, in that 100 years, we've come to realize that a lot of the diseases that kill us as Americans, things like heart disease, cancer, obesity, diabetes, osteoporosis, and the list goes on, are actually due to specific nutritional deficiencies. So what are these? These are heart disease is number 1 killer, cancer is number 2 killer, obesity, it's the number 1, it puts you at highest risk for COVID death, heart disease death, cancer death, diabetes puts you up there as well. It's by itself, I think, number 5 on that list. And osteoporosis, when you start getting a little older, now you're worried about what? Falling and breaking your hip, because breaking your hip is actually one of the biggest indicators of mortality in the elderly. So these are all things that are preventable when we know what to look for, right? And we have to start thinking philosophically a little bit, right? Because our mom cut 6 inches off the roast because her mom cut 6 inches off the roast because the oven was too small, and we didn't realize the oven was too small, and so we still cut 6 inches off the roast. So we have to think about, what did mom and dad teach me about health? If you could summarize it in one phrase, it would probably come down to something along the lines of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right? And that's our culture as a whole. Our parents collectively taught us this, and we taught other people's kids this. Sometimes I hear other people talking to my kids about their health because they don't realize I'm a doctor, and I hear things coming out of their mouth that comes from this point of frame. There's a lot of fear about symptoms and disease, but there's zero talk about prevention. And why is that dangerous? Well, because health is a state of 100% optimal function and the ability of your body to heal, meaning that you want to be functioning and healing as close to 100% as possible. Well, you don't feel dysfunction until you've lost 40%. It feels no different to be 61% functioning and 100% functioning. So what does that mean if you actually have a symptom? That you're nowhere close to being healthy. Right? If your back starts hurting, I'm nowhere close to being healthy yet. If your ankle starts hurting, I'm nowhere close to being healthy. If I start having constipation or diarrhea, I'm nowhere close to being healthy. But we don't freak out about that because we know what we need to do is address the cause of the dysfunction, the interference in the system, because your bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of a perfect creator. And he designed us in the Garden of Eden to live for how long? Forever. Now, we've broken some things in the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7,000 years or whatever. I'm not here to count out the numbers. But there's still, when you do the research, we should be living to 120 years without chronic disease. That's what Harvard research says. But where is the average American falling in that? 78 to 80, depending on whether you're male or female. So you're right for you, you're wrong for him. Only by 2 years though. So what do we do? Where do we go? Well, let's go to food, right? Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. What is essential? What is it considered essential? So this is a good place to start if you're taking notes. You need to understand what essential means. So essential is something that your body cannot make on its own. So what are those things? Well, they're classified as macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are big, right? Macro means big. They're the big things. They're the things like carbs, fat, and protein. Now, fats, your body cannot create on its own without a source to bring it in and create. And there's specifically essential fatty acids, things like omega-3s, omega-6s, omega-9s. Your body needs to consume those from an outside source because it cannot make those without you having those. Proteins, that's long chains of amino acids. You guys have heard of essential amino acids. There's about 20 of those. If you don't consume those through your diet or supplementation, then you're going to struggle to survive and eventually you'll pass early. Carbohydrates, on the other hand, there's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. If you eat no carbohydrates, what are you considered? An Eskimo. Because that's what they did for generations, is they lived off of whale blubber. They were the first keto diet. And they probably did it much healthier than we do today, because what do we want? Bacon. Give me the bacon, right? So, but the good thing about carbohydrates is if you get a complex carbohydrate, things like kale or broccoli or cauliflower, that has a lot of essential micronutrients in there. So, essential micronutrients break down into two categories. First would be your vitamins, and so you have your fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, and you have your water-soluble vitamins, basically everything else. And so looking at this, I just kind of gave some general categories here. These are like your root vegetables. This is your spinach, your kale, some of your broccoli. This is your nuts and your seeds, some of your legumes, then like your citrus fruits. So where do we get stuff? So vitamin A, a fat-soluble vitamin, and carotenes, essential vitamins, essential micronutrients that you need. Sweet potatoes, root vegetables, has it in abundance. Spinach, kale, broccoli, again, has it in abundance. About vitamin E, spinach, kale, broccoli, nuts, seeds, legumes. Vitamin C, citrus fruits, especially, right? You guys know that, but even more so in things like kale, broccoli, spinach, green peppers. Vitamin B1, citrus fruits. Vitamin B6, root vegetables. All the B vitamins, spinach, kale, broccoli. Got to get the words out. So what about minerals? Minerals are those things that you typically think of as like rocks, things like iron, right? All right, so let's go through some of these minerals here. So phosphorus is one. Find that in meats. Seafood is a great source of most of these nutrients. Calcium, that's going to be your nuts, your seeds. Magnesium, legumes, nuts, seeds. Iron, legumes, beans. Zinc in your meats and your legumes and your nuts and your seeds. Potassium, avocados are a great source. Copper, nuts and seeds. Selenium, very essential for thyroid health if you're struggling with thyroid at all. It's in your meats, especially your seafood, your legumes, your nuts and your seeds. Oh, and guess where it all is from? Spinach, kale, broccoli. So bean. A bean, a lentil would be considered a legume. So, but basically, if you eat your leafy greens, you're going to get most of this stuff. You won't get your essential fatty acids and you won't get your essential essential amino acids, but you're going to get most of these things. So what should we all be doing? A kale or a spinach salad every single day. And you can make them taste good. It doesn't have to be the things that you're used to or not. But spinach is a great place to start if you're looking to just add some more vegetables. So what's the problem though? If we can get all of our nutrients from our food, then we shouldn't have to supplement, right? What's the problem? Well, number one, low or poor nutrient content in food. And you can point to farming practices for some of this. You can point to the agricultural practices, the pollution levels actually block some of this. Cooking and preparation, if you're changing the temperature of your food at all, it actually starts to break down the molecular bonds inside the food. So even if it had it to start, it's going to lose it. But just compared to the 1930s, a head of spinach or a head of lettuce or a head of broccoli has lost almost 70% of its nutrient content. And so the food that you might have eaten when you were little had far more in it than it does today. because of those things. But farming practices being the major part of it. So you can eat spinach and more spinach and not actually get as much as you need out of it, even if it's organic or even regeneratively farmed because of that. So that's number one. Number two is that even when we want to eat right, what do we fall back to? Cutting that 6 inches off the roast, right? The things that our mom did, that our dad did, that our great grandma did, are the things that we're going to fall back to because we've developed habits. You know, and depending on the habits that you had as a child or the habits that they had as a child that they passed on to you, it might have even changed your genes. It's called epigenetics. But what we tend to consume are energy dense, high sugar, damaged fats, processed foods that have artificial sweeteners in it if they don't have sugar in it. And so it's just not very many nutrients in there. But we want to go have our bowl of ice cream or our cookies or even our bread or our pasta. And even some of this stuff that looks like it's healthy or it says it's healthy on the box isn't as healthy as it's reported to be. So we need to be looking out for that diet as well. And then our body and lifestyle. So genetics actually play a role here. If your mom struggled with it and her mom struggled with it and her mom struggled with it, it might not have started out as a genetic thing, but because of epigenetics, it definitely did. And so if you want to understand epigenetics, you kind of have to think about the Great Depression. And so you had two classes of people in the Great Depression: people that got wealthier and it didn't affect at all, and the people that got poorer and it transformed the way they lived their lives dramatically. The people that got poorer, especially people in the Dust Bowl, right? So this area of the country where they were just scrimping to survive, where they were living off of cornmeal and molasses. They got so nutrient deprived that the next generation was statistically more than half a foot shorter and undernourished because of it. And you look at cultures around the world that are shorter and thinner, they're underfed nutritionally, like at the micronutrient level. But you look at the other group of Americans, right? They were going through the same thing, except they weren't nutrient deprived. They stayed the same. Well, even if that next generation closed the wealth gap through hard work and dedication, remember, this is the greatest generation we're talking about. They still persisted as smaller, shorter people for the next 3 generations. And so it wasn't until now that we started to see their heirs catch up, even with crossbreeding and getting outside the same gene pool. It did take 3 generations for that epigenetic effect to break. But that doesn't mean that you can't change your genes. It just means that it takes work. Now, I'm not saying if you change your genes and change your eating, you're going to grow 6 inches either, right? That'd be nice, but that's not the way it works. So genes are a big part of this, but epigenetically, what it takes is you have to change the environment of the cell. That also includes biological factors. If you're sick, right? A lot of us went through COVID in the last 2 years. It really, I mean, I lost 40 pounds when I got it. It took me a little bit to bounce back from that. I wasn't exercising when I was doing that. I was only eating chicken noodle soup or chicken soup with rice. That was pretty much it. And it took me a little bit to bounce back and get my energy. It wasn't until after the new year that I got it, when I started with Thanksgiving, that I got my energy levels back. But illness can really set you back with some of this, especially if you're depriving yourself of nutrients to just make it through, right? Sometimes your brain just needs energy and a little less nutrients because all you're doing is fighting sickness. If you're on long-term medication, medication isn't just doing the thing that it's labeled for. It's also doing all the things on the back that are called side effects. Side effects are effects that are just not intended, right? And these are things that I'm consistently telling you guys that come to me with questions about your medication. Talk to your pharmacist. That symptom you're dealing with, it's a listed side effect, or it's a listed side effect of crossing these 2 medications. You should be talking to your pharmacist about how to change this up or get off of it safely so that you're not dealing with these side effects, because medication isn't there to cure you. Remember, health is function. Medication doesn't give you function. It just blocks the molecular process, the chemical process in your body from killing you immediately. All right, which is why allopathy is one of the best emergency forms of medicines. In a crisis, it'll intervene and keep you from dying, but it's not a good place to be if you want to be healthy, if you actually want to get that function back. It has its time and place, and nobody should be jumping off their medications just because Dr. Jake said that you can't get healthy on medication. But you should be working with all of your healthcare providers to come together to aim to working off of those. What else can block nutrient absorption? Right there, surgeries. So let's say you have a stomach problem and they find out it's appendicitis. Well, 5 years ago, they didn't know what the appendix was for. So what did they do? Took it off. What do we know it does now? It's there to help you break down high fiber foods. In fact, in cows, the ones with 3 stomachs, they have huge appendices. And it's because they're constantly eating grass, which is mostly fiber, but they're getting enough nutrition out of that grass to give us what? Omega-3 fatty acids. Yeah, that's what they produce when they eat grass. So that's one of those things. So now you're not able to get as much out of those high fiber foods as you would have with the appendix. What's another thing that they cut out a lot? Because 20 years ago, they didn't know its purpose. Gallbladder. Yeah, spleen is another one, right? But gallbladder, what's that there for? It holds the bile that helps you emulsify and break down fat. And so now if you don't have your gallbladder, what's it hard to do? Emulsify and break down fat. And so your fat content in your diet has to go lower. And so it's harder for you to get enough essential omega-3 or omega-6 or omega-9 fatty acids. Even if you do eat the fish or you do drink the fish oil, it's just that much harder. And so we could go down this list, you know, in the rabbit hole. You get people operating on, you know, and cutting into the stomach or small intestine. And so even if it's still there, just that time without it or the scar tissue that builds up on it is going to impact your ability to absorb and digest that food. All right? Does that make sense? All right. Not picking on medicine or surgery here. It's just, we got to understand where it affects us in our health journey. Lifestyle factors. If you're sedentary, if you're stressed, if you drink alcohol consistently or consume tobacco or you're using drugs, whether illicit or over the counter or prescribed, it can affect this. Eating out, lower content or quality of food, and oral hygiene matters in this as well. So if you're not brushing your teeth, this will probably be the one time I say this, brush them, right? You guys should know better. We're adults here. Health conditions, specifically diabetes, cancer, heart disease, those ones make it harder for you to absorb the nutrients that you're getting in your food. So let's jump into stress a little bit because this is pretty big. If stress is blocking nutrient absorption, oftentimes these are some of the symptoms that you'll see. Indigestion, bloating, you'll crave caffeine or you'll need caffeine or you'll be addicted to caffeine. You'll crave other things, specifically sugar being the biggest one. And you start getting addicted to that. And this actually feeds itself because what stress does to your body is it puts you in a fight or flight state. It basically turns off the part of your nervous system that allows you to heal or allows you to digest food well. And it turns on the ability to fight a tiger or to run away from a tiger or to lift a car off of your grandchild. It activates all of the short-term benefits and deactivates all the long-term benefits. And so chronic stress is one of the big things that can really inhibit you here. But there's hope. So what we've got are a 5 essentials problem. And so we need a 5 essentials solution. So 5 essentials are really just the ways that we approach this, the ways that we address interferences and the ways that we address the solutions to the interference. So chiropractic, specifically the nervous system component of this, nutrition, because you are what you eat and you are what you eat, your stress levels, your mindset, the way that you think about your health, the way you think about your growth, oxygen, fitness, the ability to get oxygen into your body, and then toxicity. We have to address those 5 things. And so we're going to talk about those 5 things just really briefly today because I am at high risk here of going really long because I'm combining 2 workshops into one. So chiropractic is here for what? It's here for your function. That's all it is. Anybody that tells you chiropractic's for your neck pain, your back pain, or your headaches is telling you the wrong thing. Chiropractic is not here to treat anything other than your function or lack thereof. The purpose of chiropractic is to take what the World Health Organization defines as health, 100% optimal function and the ability of the body to heal mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and combine all that. The nervous system is the pathway. Chiropractic is designed to remove the interference from that pathway. It's what controls and coordinates it. That's why when you get chiropractic care consistently for 5 years, you save an average of $7,000 a year compared to your peers. Right? Who wants a $7,000 check? 2 hands, right? Hopefully that's everybody in the room. So this is what we're looking to address, is the whole person. Where does that start? Well, it starts in your spine and your central nervous system, because the nervous system is what controls and coordinates all function in your body. For your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for a cut on your leg to heal, the signal has to run from your brain down the spinal cord and out those nerves to every organ, cell, and tissue. It doesn't happen any other way. And we know that because if we sever the brainstem, what happens? You're not making it very long, right? You sever all the nerves that go to the heart, what happens? You're not making it very long. You sever all the nerves to the digestive organs. Doesn't matter how many supplements we take. Doesn't matter how many essential oils we take. Doesn't matter if we're on keto, paleo, whatever. No, because there's nothing to tell the digestive system what to do anymore. And so it stops. And you can't break down anything you put in. You could cram it in. You could put it in a nutritional shake. It doesn't matter because now you're disconnected. But it's incredibly rare to sever those nerves because they're completely surrounded by bone. The skull surrounds and protects the brain. The spinal column and each individual vertebra surround and protect your brain stem, the spinal cord, and each of these nerve roots as they exit off. And it has a normal position. It should be straight up and down from the front with these 3 45-degree curves from the side. When it's in that position, there can be no pressure or damage on your nervous system, meaning that it is going to operate and help you function at or near 100%. But when it's out of alignment, even 2 millimeters or 2 degrees, research shows that that puts about the pressure of a weight of a dime on a nerve root or on the brainstem or on the spinal cord. If we leave that for 5 minutes, it decreases the signal going through whatever part of that is by as much as 60%. And so if I like to walk around with my smartphone or my book or whatever, and I do this for hours on end, or I work at my laptop computer like this, what am I doing? The chart's in the back, right? I'm adding 60 pounds of stress just from head forward posture onto my central nervous system. That's the arc of life. Arc of life, right? When you have that curve in your neck, you live 20 years longer than someone who's lost even half of it. Let's say you do that. Should that hurt? It should, right? That's not a nice, healthy curve in there, is it? No, that's putting pressure on the spinal cord. That's demyelinating the spinal cord. And if left there long enough, it'll kill the spinal cord. It'll make it so that electrical signals can't get through there. That posture has been implicated in every neurologically degenerative condition that we know of. It's not the only cause, but it's a major cause. Problem is that doesn't feel bad until it's been there for 20 years. Unless you had a traumatic accident with it. Slip and fall. And I know several of you have had that, right? You slip and you fall on the ice, something goes out, and ouch, that hurts. And you come in and I say, oh, you've had that for 20 years. And what am I looking at? I'm looking at the progress of the degenerative arthritis, because when a joint is out of alignment, doesn't matter if it's your spine, your knee, your hip, or your finger, it starts degenerating into arthritis at a rate of 7% per year. And it starts just out of position, then it starts growing bone spurs, then you start losing disc space, and eventually it's bone on bone. Just out of position, you might not feel it. But is your body going to feel the effects of it right away? Yeah, your heart starts malfunctioning, your lungs start malfunctioning, your pancreas starts malfunctioning, your digestive system only absorbs 80% of the nutrients instead of 100% of the nutrients. You don't feel that immediately, but your body notices the difference. And so you start to get sluggish. And that's not a symptom, right? Everybody's have a tired day. Who has kids? Yeah, that's my subluxation. Just got to get rid of those guys. But, right? That's a joke. I love my children. I love my children more than life itself. I've considered buying guns because of my children. And not to shoot them. I know where your minds went. That's not where I'm going. Right? So we need to take care of that. We need to prevent that. And then when we have that, how do you know that it's healthy? How do you know that it's healthy? An X-ray. Even unhealthy asymptomatic people, I recommend an X-ray once a year. And then do you want to wait until I find it on X-ray, or would you like me to help you prevent it? Research shows that when a joint's out of alignment, it degenerates with some permanent changes within 2 weeks of it being out of alignment. So who should take a break from chiropractic? Really, nobody. Really, everyone should be being checked by a chiropractor at least once every other week. Guess what? I don't charge you for being checked. I charge you when I need to adjust you. I've had a couple of you in here where I've found your spine in a place where I didn't need to adjust you. And guess what I did? I deleted the charge out of your account, gave you a high five and said, have a great day. I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Because we found your spine in a spot that it didn't need to be adjusted. And that is better than me finding the thing that needs to be adjusted, right? But hopefully we can find it when it is there before you have to have an X-ray taken, so that when we do get that X-ray, we do get that nerve scan, it's showing good, healthy levels, right? That's my goal with you guys. That's where I want each of you to be, and forever. Ideally, I want one of two things to happen: you to bury me, or me to bury you, right? One of us is going to be at the other's funeral, yeah, and then we're going to pass the other off to another good chiropractor, right? Exactly. So that's my goal with chiropractic. I want you guys to be healthy. What are some signs that you've had chiropractic, or that you need chiropractic, or that you've had subluxation or misalignments in your spine for a while? These are just the most common ones. I mean, these are things that most people are dealing with, honestly. When I look at my intake forms, most people don't come to the chiropractor, asymptomatic, but I invite spouses of people that come to come and get checked. Not so I can address these things, but so that we can prevent these things. Because the biggest miracle isn't somebody who's on their deathbed about to pass away, but the one that never has to get to the deathbed in the first place. So if you know anybody with any of these symptoms, or even not, who should get checked? Everybody. Everybody should have an X-ray of their spine. That's just the way it is. So mindset also plays a huge role in this, right? We can't address that emotional, mental component without having a healthy mindset. And when it comes to stress, your mindset about stress will determine the effect that stress has on you. If you think that your stress is going to kill you, it will. Have I told you this story before about the engineer that got locked in a cooler car on a train? So he knew exactly what would happen and how long it would take for being in those really sub-freezing temperatures to kill him. And so within that exact amount of time, it did. The guys that found him, when they found him, it was only about 3 hours later. The cooler car wasn't even turned on. He believed so strongly that it was on that they found hypothermia inside his body. They found frostbite. What you believe about your health absolutely matters. What you believe about your stress absolutely matters. Think about fitness for a minute. You're putting so much strain on your muscles when you're lifting weights, right? That it creates micro tears in the muscles. And what happens because of that? It grows back stronger. But if you go into the gym and you pump that iron and it hurts the next day and you say, oh, it hurts too much, I can't go back. What's going to happen? You're going to get weaker because of that, aren't you? Yeah, you'll turn into jello and you'll never want to go back. But if you believe that that discomfort that you feel either during or after the exercise is making you stronger, not only will you get stronger because of the workout and keep going back, but you actually will get stronger than people that have a neutral mindset. Knee surgeries. Knee surgeries are pretty straightforward, right? You have a tear in your ACL, stitch it back together, it heals, right? They did a knee surgery on a group of over 200 patients. Every single one of them got a knee surgery. But half of them, the knee surgery was just cut open, wash it out, and watch on the screen as somebody else got the knee surgery that they think they were having to repair their ACL tear. The other half of the group actually got the ACL tear repaired. Guess what the results were of the study? Which group got better? Both. Both healed because both parties believed that they were going to heal because of the surgery that they received. I'm not trying to undercut medicine or surgeries or anything, but your mindset absolutely matters. Negative Nancy's and positive Pauls have very different outcomes when it comes to health and health problems. Toxicity, right? Does everybody believe that a poison will block your ability to absorb nutrients and keep you from expressing your function at 100%? Does anybody not believe that? Because we need to start over, right? No, so if you drink a vial of mercury, you're probably going to die. Cyanide, arsenic. Yeah, so we try to avoid those things. Where are our biggest exposures right now? Because we're not. Like, I grew up in a house that was built in the 1880s. We actually had to deal with lead paint, right? Some of you guys did too. And so there might still be some lead in my bloodstream because lead is persistent for about 3 generations. It actually gets into the cells and passes on. So we got to look at that stuff. But where do we still find lead? Cosmetics. About 90% of cosmetics measured had some particles of lead in there. Maybe not as much as water would if you still had lead pipes in the house or if you had lead paint on the walls. But we got to look at what we're putting on our skin. You know, how about toothpaste? What's that got in there? Well, number one, what makes it foam? An engine degreaser. It's called sodium lauryl sulfate. A lot of these have polysorbate 80 in there, which is an endocrine mimicker, known to cause cancers. Not that you're eating this stuff, but about 30% of what makes it on your skin absorbs directly into your bloodstream. And so what do you think in your mouth? Because your mouth is actually considered part of your digestive system, and sugar itself will digest into your bloodstream in your mouth. It doesn't need to hit your stomach before it goes in. Vaping is kind of taken over for cigarettes, hasn't it? You see a lot more people vaping anymore than you do taking in tobacco. Well, what's that got in there? Again, estrogen mimickers, tons of plastics, persistent organic pollutants. What does plastic bottles have in them? BPA, bisphenol A, another estrogen mimicker, implicated in cancer risks. They're all around us. What's this showing? I was driving through northern Nebraska and southern South Dakota last week and southern Minnesota as well. I saw all sorts of this, whether it was a single tractor just spraying or a big old tractor or airplane flying over, dusting the crops and spraying. It's pesticides. What do pesticides have in them? Estrogen mimickers. They don't have DDT anymore. Yeah, I heard that coming. They used to, and a lot of us got exposed to that stuff, and we saw a lot of birth defects with DDT. But some of this newer stuff, it takes longer. What's the biggest ingredient right now in pesticides that we're worried about? Glyphosate. Glyphosate is being implicated in stomach cancers and digestive system cancers. And it's the active ingredient in Roundup, that thing that you spray around your lawn, but it's also what they've been putting on our wheat for years and years to get it to ripen faster. It's like, okay, this is not good for us. Maybe I'm not gluten intolerant. Maybe I'm actually intolerant to glyphosate because it actually has the same effect on your digestive system as gluten does. And it could be both. A lot of people have both. So how do we detox? Well, number one, identify the poison and stop, right? You have to know where it's coming from. We did a whole workshop in this. If you're wanting more information on toxicity itself, go back to the YouTube channel, find that detox workshop, and watch it through. I'm sure it was an hour and a half, and it had tons of information on where these toxins are coming from and how best to come off of it. Now, things that you can do to supplement are things like glutathione, activated charcoal. That's another good one. I'm trying to remember ingredients all of a sudden. In the detox system, fennel seed is in there. What's the other one? Oh, the one that helps with methylation. That's this is great for YouTube, by the way, when you mumble and can't remember stuff. No, it'll come to me and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's it. I have one that's just this on the shelves. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, helping with methylation. Um, yeah, so we have two different options for you guys. One's a more aggressive, intensive 30-day system, and one's more of a daily support. So the Max Cleanse has the activated charcoal in there. It has your NAC in there, and then a lot of B vitamins, a lot of water-soluble vitamins that help to support detox. I've told people in the past that if you can't afford to do the multivitamin, that this is a decent backup to it that also helps with detox. So if you're looking at budget constraints, then this is a good place to start. But if you know you've been exposed to a lot of that stuff that I just rattled off that can create toxicity reactions, then this is a better one because it has more of that, and it's a two-part program. There's a cell detox for the morning and a body detox for night, so that we're supporting one side of the detox system, and then we come out the other side and we support that as we go into evening. If you're having issues with bowel movements, this usually helps get you going, get you started on that. If you start taking this and it doesn't go right, flip the dosage so that you're taking the one that is indicated for night, take that in the morning instead, and it'll help stimulate the system a different way. You won't notice as big of a difference here, but it will give you the things that you need to do to support that in the short or long term. So fitness is another thing, right? Anybody ever have a big bowel movement after starting to move a little bit? Is it just me? Okay, I'm seeing a couple of, yeah. No, so when I was training for my half marathon, oftentimes I would try to have a bowel movement before I would go to run. Like, okay, I guess nothing's really coming out, and put on my running shoes and my shorts and my running shirt and get out. And about 5 minutes down the path, like, oh. I better hold that. Because the movement actually does. It stimulates the digestive system. By bringing more blood flow, by moving, actually massages the digestive system, even though that's not the muscle you're trying to stimulate in the moment. Everything gets better with more oxygen and more movement. Now, is there better types of exercise? Yes. But here's the thing. I could sit here and I could talk to you about exercise for an hour. And give me a chance and I will, right? But the key to exercise and the key to getting the best results with exercise are to do something you like. And to know yourself, know how you're going to respond to exercise. If you know you can do it every day, you've found a good exercise. I'm not going to pick that apart and say, no, don't do that because there's a better way to do it. No, let's just do something. If you're doing nothing, just do something. And better, just do something you like, right? So I like to play sports. And so on Sunday afternoon, I was outside in 85-degree weather, sun beating down, playing soccer at Southwest High School, just kicking a ball around for an hour and a half. Is that the best form of exercise? No, it's not. Was it the best form of exercise for me on a Sunday afternoon? Absolutely. You know, Monday nights when I'm not doing this, I like to go play basketball, shoot some hoops, play with those 20-year-old kids, show them what an old man with gray hair knows what to do, right? Yeah, I'm not as young as I used to be, and I have to give myself some limitations there. But if I don't press into those limitations, they stay limitations forever, don't they? All right. So find something you like. If that's walking, walk. If that's swimming, swim. If that's, you know, jogging with buddies, great. If that's going to the Y and walking in their wading pool, great. Some people need a class. We have classes here on Saturdays. We're not doing one this Saturday because it's 4th of July weekend, but the next Saturday we're going to be doing Zumba. Shirley loves Zumba. Jan's normally here. She loves Zumba. Yeah. Did you join us for Zumba? No, you did the flex class. Yeah. So the week after that, we're going to do flexibility. It's more of a like an introduction to yoga type of thing, so that we can just get moving, right? Get some more oxygen into our systems, get some more flexibility. So if you are looking for the best form of exercise, I recommend high intensity interval training because it's the most bang for your buck. And about 15 minutes of high intensity interval training, which is 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, or a minute on, a minute off, or something in between, you accomplish the same level of fitness that you would in an hour of cardio. And the effects of it last for 72 hours, where that hour of cardio dies pretty much immediately. You see your metabolism stays up when you can do that. And so if you like to walk, it's pretty easy to do. Instead of just walking for an hour or 30 minutes or however much you go 15 seconds and then slow down for 15 seconds and then 15 seconds and then slow down. And you don't have to run and move hard, but pick up your pace, break a sweat a little. It's easy to do on a hot day in Nebraska, isn't it? Yes, ma'am.
How long do you do at least that 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, or half hour?
15 minutes is enough. Yeah. I mean, if you're just getting used to it, just start with something, right? And you might get really winded, which is kind of the point of high intensity interval training, is to make your oxygen demand go higher so that you're training your lungs to be able to handle more and your bloodstream to push more out so that your body gets more efficient with it. But that is part of what increases your metabolism for hours and hours and hours. So even if it's just 2 minutes of 15 on, 15 off, or 30 on, 30 off, that's better than just walking. Now, if you're just needing to just start walking, Like, no judgment again here, but we have to do something or else we're going to lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that goes for balance, it goes for flexibility, that goes for coordination. All right. So, what things help with this? Help support nutrition or help support fitness? Well, protein, right? Because when you're moving, you're actually breaking down, you're using your muscles, you break down the chains in those muscles, and so you need to build them back up. And so high protein diet really helps with building those muscles back up because those muscles are protein chains of amino acids. This is protein chains and amino acids, so that's a great place to start. Daily defense, that's got a ton of curcumin in it. It's got N-acetylcysteine in there to help with the methylation. That really helps with recovery and when you swell up afterwards. You get a little sore. This is a great replacement for ibuprofen because instead of toxifying your kidneys and your liver, now you're actually helping to build your body back up. Greens are another great way to do this because if you don't like that 5 servings of green leafy vegetables every single day, a chocolate berry powder goes a long way. This is a scoop of this is about 2.5 to 3 servings of vegetables and about a serving of fruit in the greens powder. So those are options to help support healthy fitness. Nutrition, right? So this is a big thing, right? How do we eat so that we're getting the most out of our food? Well, start by eating the rainbow. This does not look like the standard American diet, does it? No, that's part of the reason why the standard American diet is so nutrient poor, is we're not eating the rainbow. Eat different types of foods. Don't just stick to legumes. Don't just stick to spinach. Get it from different sources so that your body learns how to get it and it can get it more efficiently. If your diet is brown, it's coming out brown. You're not making much change. But if it's going from green to brown, now you're making some changes. You're getting some nutrients out of it. So definitely eat the rainbow. And then you also need to know what's going on with the nutrition label. So number one, when you're looking at nutrition labels, check the servings per container. This absolutely matters. Absolutely matters. I like kombucha. It's a great way to get probiotics. It tastes good. And usually there's some other helpful, beneficial stuff in there as well. But a couple of years ago, GTS changed their nutrition label so it looked like there was less sugar in there. But what they had actually done is they had cut the serving size in half and then added a little bit more sugar so that it would taste better. And so if I hadn't been paying close attention to one of my trusted brands, it was organic kombucha, I would have been getting way too much as far as the sugar amount in there per serving. So you look at that. Look at that. It's per 1 cup, that's what's in there. Or per container, that's what's in there. So look at that first. Then the most important part of this, I would say, is actually the ingredients list. So not this part, but just underneath there, it says ingredients. And when you're eating good, real whole foods that are going to give you nutrients, there probably aren't more than 3 ingredients in there. Probably not. I mean, maybe if you're eating a granola bar that's whole nuts and whole seeds and whole stuff, you can get away with more than 3. But usually that's when you start getting long lists, that's where you start getting the chemicals and the things that are going to block absorption of the nutrients and your more highly processed foods. Then what does percent daily value mean? Well, that's all based off of a 2,000 calorie diet, isn't it? Not everyone in this room needs a 2,000 calorie diet. If I ate a 2,000 calorie diet, I would be half the man I am. literally. To be able to sustain the amount of activity I'm doing, I have to eat more than 2,000 calories on a daily basis. Yeah, I should be eating more. Now, some of us need to eat a little less than that based off of our activity levels, but we need to account for what that is. And it's also going against what the FDA recommends. And so if the FDA recommends 400 IUs of vitamin D3, what are they trying to do when they're saying you should have 400 IUs of vitamin D3 a day? They're helping you to prevent rickets. But how much vitamin D3 do you actually need to be healthy? Has anybody ever measured that? Creighton did. University of Creighton did about getting close to 10 years now. And what they found is that if all you do is consume 400 a day, 400 IUs a day, provided you're getting a good quality source that can digest, you probably won't get rickets. But if you increase that to about 5,000 IUs a day and get your blood levels from between 60 nanograms per deciliter of vitamin D3 up to 100 units of nanograms per deciliter of vitamin D3, you can reduce your risk of just about all cancers by 63%. Your heart disease risk plummets. Your diabetes levels drop off. It's like, I would rather be in the second range. Thank you very much. And so all of our vitamin D3 supplements come in 5,000 units, right? And then what should we do in the wintertime when there is no sun? Up it, right? Because we're not getting it from natural sources. Now, on a day when I'm running around outside playing soccer without a shirt on, maybe I don't take 5,000 IUs, right? But if I know I'm inside and I'm not getting that, that's not going to help. All right. And then the last one here, be aware of what's on the container or package. If it's non-GMO, that doesn't mean it's organic, but it does mean that they did not use genetically modified ingredients. If it says organic, it also means that they didn't use any GMO products. But it doesn't mean that it's 100% healthy or without pesticides. They can still put pesticides on it as long as the pesticides are classified as organic. If it says grass-fed, that actually only means 80% grass-fed, minimum. If it says organic, it's actually only 50% grass-fed. It has to say 100% grass-fed to actually be 100% grass-fed. Yeah, there's lots of little different things there. So know what each of those labels means. And if you don't know, ask me, because I have a better chance of remembering what something means than trying to remember all the different options out there for you. And so then what should you be eating? Well, take all this and you can summarize it as if God made it, eat it. If man made it, leave it. If it's coming in a plastic package, it's probably not good for you. But if it's coming from the ground or a farmer's market, that's what we should be consuming, and you don't have to worry about it too much. This is the diet I recommend for everybody. Just whole foods. Like don't worry about what it is so much. Eat the rainbow. Get whole foods. Don't get it from a plastic container. You'll be much better off. Now, if you need some healing, if you're dealing with arthritis or heart disease or cancer or diabetes, what do? We jump to the advanced plan. So see the core plan, which if you didn't catch all of that, go back to my Nutrition 101 workshop. I talk ad nauseum about that. Or even better, go to the Nutrition Plans book or the booklet about the nutrition plans and dive into that. It's got a whole chapter on the advanced plan plus appendices to help support it, including shopping lists, shopping guides, meal planning, recipes, everything you need, and it helps you distinguish between core plan and advanced plan. But the basic difference is instead of just everything that God made, we're going to do no grains at all, even whole grains. We're going to cut those out. We're going to only low sugar fruits and vegetables, an example being berries, Granny Smith apples, grapefruits, lemon, lime, and then reduce our root vegetables as well, because root vegetables create a glycemic effect. And we're trying to reduce the glycemic effect, get our hormones back in order, and it makes such a big difference there. And now you can do advanced plan and core plan on just about everything. But from there, where are we going to get these nutrients? These are the biggest nutritional deficiencies we see across the board as Americans. Calcium is not because we're not getting it in our diet, it's because we have gut issues. So many of us have leaky gut and don't know it. And you know you have leaky gut if you have this tire. If you have this tire around the middle, you've got leaky gut. You can do tests for it. If you're looking at a sensitivity test, if you have more than 3 food sensitivities, you've got leaky gut, you don't have more than 3 food sensitivities, you're just creating sensitivity or immune responses to those long chain proteins getting in there. And part of the reason why we're deficient in calcium is because we got leaky gut, right? So we got to address the leaky gut and stop supplementing with just calcium. Your body has plenty of calcium. Your diet has plenty of calcium. Show me an American with a low calcium diet, and I'll show you an American that's fasting, right? Because so many foods have calcium in them. Vitamin D3. There's actually not a good source of vitamin D3 in our food supply, but there is a great source the second we step outside. And if you don't want to supplement with this, go out between the hours of 10 and 2 during the summer months and get 30 minutes or more of full exposure. And that's for us white folks. That's no sunscreen, nothing, no hats, no long sleeve shirts. You're not getting it through your shirt. You got to actually expose yourself. And here, since it's summertime, let me just chop this one off. You getting a sunburn is not due to you lacking sunscreen. It's actually the bad oils that are in your system. If you eat more omega-6s than omega-3s and your fatty acid profile is off, guess what it does? It fries that in your skin, and that's where the burn comes from. I got so much exposure over the last weekend. I was in Yankton, I was in Minnesota, had my shirt off, I was in the lake. I put a little bit of sunscreen on. I got really red. I didn't get burned. That redness was nitric oxide flowing to my skin. At no point did my skin ever hurt. I was using the SPF 30. I only put it on once per day. And I am white. Like, maybe not right now, but you get me in the winter months, some of you have seen me, I get pasty white. You know, it's not the lack of sunblock. In fact, we've seen skin cancer skyrocket with sunscreen use, and it's because of some of the chemicals that they use in there. So it's not just that. So iron is the next one. This is coming again from legumes. We want to get that from legumes. We want to get that from meats. In fact, organ meats are a great place to get that from. B vitamins are great. Eggs, great source of B vitamins. Folate, your cruciferous vegetables. And I say folate, not folic acid, because folic acid has been methylated. And if you don't have enough NAC, N-acetylcysteine, you won't do well with it. You actually need the real source, the folate. So look on your bottles for that. And then magnesium as well is a big one. That's going to be in your avocados, but it's also going to be, again, in the organ meats. I don't do a lot of organ meats. I don't like organ meats. So I supplement with a lot of this stuff because I know that just sometimes the lifestyle, it gets too much. So you want good quality supplements though. And the thing is, if you go get an iron supplement and it's the wrong kind of iron, guess what I'm going to see on x-ray? I'm going to see that iron supplement coming through. You have to get high quality stuff. You can't just get the cheap stuff off the shelf. In fact, if you see a commercial about what you're consuming, it probably isn't a good quality one. In fact, they did a research on just Amazon supplements, which you guys know, Amazon carries just about everything. And what they found is that in 90% of the supplements listed on Amazon, they had less than 10% of what was listed in the ingredient label. And I don't want to do that to you guys. When I sell supplements, I barely make a profit. I make enough of a profit to be able to keep that on my shelves, which is why you guys get such a big discount coming to these workshops, because I know you guys are more likely to take more of these. So I want you to be able to afford them, but I also want them to work. And when we went in to make these supplements, the owner of Max Living, or the owner of Max Living, the founder of Max Living, he said, this is our brand standard. We want stuff that works, that comes from food sources, that's organic, that actually is bioavailable for your bodies to digest and assimilate. How much is that going to cost per serving? They said, well, here's all the brands that do that. And it's stuff that you guys haven't heard of. It's like top of the line stuff that is costing like $50 a capsule type of thing. It's like, we can't do that to our patients. That's unaffordable. And we're like, well, here's the profit margin. Like, what if we do this much as far as the profit margin and actually give that to them? Like, well, you can do that if you want. And so that's what you got. When you buy stuff from us, you can trust that it's good. We back it up. And if you don't like what's in your bottle, guess what? Send an email to support@store.maxliving.com, and they will either refund your money or they'll replace the supplement, one way or the other. And I'll honor that in the office too. But we do that because we trust what's in there. All right. So what are the ones that I recommend? What are the ones that I take? This. So Your multivitamin is either men's or women's. Men's, the difference is it supports prostate health. It's got some herbs and it's got some nutrients in there for those of us with prostates. And then women's, breast and reproductive health. I don't have a uterus and I don't have the ovaries and I don't produce milk that comes out of my bosom. So I don't need the things that support that. Yes, ma'am.
Is that healthy hormones?
Yeah, so it's all designed to support healthy hormones, but it does that not by treating the hormones, right? It's nutritional deficiencies. And so this is kind of like, all right, these are most of the things that most of us are deficient in because it's deficient in our food supply. Here, just throw it at the wall, right? This is not advanced nutritional testing. Some people need that, especially when there's persistent, long-term issues. This helps cover the bases to get you to the point where, okay, now I can go check that out and see what I need. That's, if you're looking for a place to do that, Avant Total Health does specific nutritional testing to see what your levels are. Restore Hyper Wellness over here, they'll get you connected with a nurse practitioner. They'll walk you through getting IV vitamins and getting that in the right place. B complex, another one I take daily. B vitamins are water soluble. When you have more stress, you burn through them faster. A lot of your energy levels come from not having enough B vitamins, which is why you see a lot of B vitamins put into energy drinks. Omegas. Most of us have an omega-3 fatty acid ratio with omega-6 of about 1 to 17. That should be 1 to 2, omega-3 to omega-6. And so this amount to help get that back up. If you know your D3 levels are low, if they're below 60, then you take more of it. Don't worry, you won't get toxic until you get way over 100 on that list. And I've only met 2 people in 10 years that have ever even gotten over 100, and no one that's even approached toxicity with the quality of D3 with the probiotics in there to get that to absorb. And then magnesium as well. So if I was to sell you each of these off the shelf at their MSRP, it would be about $150 with the new price adjustments. So I don't. What we've done is we've reduced some of our cost in the packaging and put them together in easy daily packets that you can take that'll get you to not just your minimum levels, but a level that's high enough that we're going to be able to address deficiencies and support healthy levels for the long term. This is what I take every day. Well, this one is the one I take every day, right? I didn't go through that process or procedure yet. This is the one that I did. All right, so I do that every single day. If I miss, it's because I forgot to pack it on vacation. All right, but I don't have an excuse because they're in the packets. I just say, how many days am I on vacation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now I just take it, and I just have to remember to take it. And it's part of my morning routine or my first meal routine. Sometimes that's not morning. So what about essential oils, right? So in this context, I don't think essential oils are essential. Right? We talked about essential being things that your body can't produce on their own. In a way, no, you can't. But they are essential in a lot of good ways. But you have to understand philosophy to really understand this. Because when you talk about philosophy, what we live in this, if it ain't broke, don't fix it culture, it's allopathy, right? And allopathy broken down, if you guys have watched the video, it breaks down to you treat like with dislike. But that's what? That's waiting until you feel a symptom. That like thing is you hurting, or you having heartburn, or you having indigestion, or you having whatever. You treat like with something that's going to make it feel differently. And so allopathy, you can do allopathy with essential oils. And actually, we got a couple of great resources here. I recommend anybody that wants to do essential oils buy this book. Not for me, I don't sell this book. I forget the website, but it's like essentiallife.com or essentialoils.com. But I think it's 18 bucks. Not bad, right? But it has everything that you need to know about oils in it. But if all you're doing, if you rely on oils, like this becomes your healthcare, which a lot of oil people do. I've sat through a lot of oils presentations, and this is where they get me. They're like, oh, all you need is this. In fact, I've been told by someone who has no healthcare training at all, oh, I don't need a chiropractic adjustment because I take Balance. I'm like, I've never seen Balance fix a scoliosis or reverse text neck or combat the effects of you looking down at your oils all day, right? So you can take these way to left field, can't you? You know, this is not supposed to be a replacement for your mindset in these things. What these are a bridge, right? So this is, the way I approach this is more a combination of either naturopathy or vitalism, somewhere in there. So it's not purely vitalistic because it's not just going to be feeding function, but it is using things that are natural to help me get from a bad place to a good place. And so there's a lot of really good things about essential oils. I don't want to bash essential oils at all. In fact, it's something I use in my home every single day, and not just to make things smell good. You guys have smelled it coming out of this guy in the office. Most of you have complimented how the office smells with some of these scents. And what I'm not trying to do is trick you into feeling good. That's not what I'm doing with this. This is not just a mental game that we're playing here. What I am trying to do is fill the office with something that is going to build us up, right? Oils are literally just food or plants, and the most intense part of nutritionally rich part. So who here has heard me say that cinnamon will help you balance your blood sugar levels? Yeah, in the back over there. Yeah, it's true. Cinnamon, essential oil, will do it much more efficiently than actually dumping a bunch of sugar into bread or cookies or hot chocolate or whatever you're going to put cinnamon, or just taking a scoop of the powder, because it's taking the oil, which is more dense than the powder would be from that cinnamon bark that you have to scrape it off of. And because it's an oil, that phospholipid membrane that makes up our cells, it's able to transport through that much more efficiently than if it's dry and it has to go into our bloodstream and get taken there somewhere. Does that make sense? You guys kind of understand how oils are working here now? So it's like eating food, but it's not always eating either. So let's walk through a couple things about oils. Number one thing about oils is they're not a medication, and so they don't come with a side effects list. Now this says safe, and of course this is coming from doTERRA. I'm a member of doTERRA. I love doTERRA. I also love Young Living. My sister's a Young Living person. I don't get into the politics behind everything. They both make very high quality oils. They're safe if you don't have a food sensitivity or an allergy to the plant that they're coming from. The only time I've heard of a negative effect from an oil is from somebody that had an unidentified food sensitivity or identified food sensitivity, and they used the thing that they were sensitive to because they didn't realize it was coming from the plant. If it says it's that plant and you know you have a sensitivity to it, don't use it. But other than that, the exception, right? It's 100% natural and safe. There's no side effects, and you don't get addicted to it. You might think some people are addicted to it, but they're not. They just really like their oils. They're extracts from plants with amazing benefits. And then this is something that's doTERRA. It's certified pure therapeutic grade. It's pure and potent. That's something that they've copyrighted, right? It's got that little logo on there. It's because they came up with a process to make sure that it's consistent across all the bottles. You won't find that with all essential oils. So this is an example of an essential oil, peppermint. And I want to send this around so you guys can kind of see what this does. Who's feeling a little tired after all my technicals right now? Here, what I want you to do is just put a little drop on your hands like that, and then kind of rub it in, and then just smell it. If you want, you can rub a little on your chest so that it's a constant breathing. It gives you a little. So I'm going to pass this around. Just kind of keep the cap with it, and you guys can just smell a little bit of that as it comes around. So the next thing about essential oils is they are effective. And so I talked about this, the oil crossing through the phospholipid membrane in the cell. So it does get there more efficiently than it would through food. And so you want to actually permeate the cell membrane. So another one of my favorite oils, and one that I got to be real good friends with during COVID, was On Guard. Now, if you look at the side of this, which I recommend anytime you're picking up a supplement of any kind or a food item of any kind, you can actually see what's in there. Oh, throw it on the floor. And you can see that this one's actually a blend of about 10 different oils here. And what it is it's a whole bunch of things with a lot of immune supporting antioxidants. So this is a good one to apply Topically, you can smell it. So I'm just going to have you guys smell this one and smell the difference there between the peppermint. This is something that you can rub on your lymphatics.
Would that work for me with all my allergies?
It could help. It's going to help to support your immune system in this process. All right. So the other thing is that they're affordable. The dosage for one of these is literally anywhere from 1 to 3 drops. So you just get a little bit on your hand, you put a little bit in a diffuser, you smell it, you take it in, and it helps. And so you're talking about, for one of these bottles, it depends on what type you're getting and how expensive the plan is to get it. You're talking about pennies per dose, not dollars per dose or hundreds of dollars per dose in the case of some medications. But let's talk about anxiety and depression. Something like lavender has been shown to help support healthy mindset. So you guys can rub a little bit of this on your hands if you want to. You can just smell it. Here, I'll give you the lid as well so it doesn't get separated there. But that's another one there. So there's also 3 different ways that you can use essential oils. So the first one would be aromatically. So this is, the oils that I put in here are considered aromatic essential oils. They're ones that you want to breathe in. And so what you're looking for here is actually getting it into your bloodstream faster, because when you get it into the lungs, it goes to the bloodstream faster than if you put it on your skin or even if you put it into your digestive system. Like that. Did everybody get to see the peppermint? Okay, good. So something like adaptive is fantastic for this. So if you're dealing with that depression or that anxiety, this is a really good one to get your brain going back the other direction. So I'll let you smell that. Actually, if your energy is really low with that one, put a little bit on the back of your neck. If you're feeling a little depressed or a little anxious, put it on the back of your neck for that one. That's the adaptive. That's an adaptive blend. That's unique to doTERRA. So everybody get the On Guard? Everybody get to see that? There you go. So you can use these to positively affect mood. You can cleanse the air. You can support the respiratory system. Yep. There's another one called Breathe that I really like for the immune system. So this is a calming blend. You can use it aromatically, or we'll get to the tea in a minute. You can use that, I think that's topically. But it's calming, helps with stress, anxiety, relaxation, concentration, motivation. If you're dealing with mental fatigue, that can really get you there as well. Topically, right? So you could also, like I said, rub that on the back of your neck, and that'll help. But topically, you're applying it to an area for a localized benefit. So something like tea tree oil, it's antimicrobial. Oregano is also antimicrobial. And so if you have something like athlete's foot, you dilute that down, right? You have to dilute it. You want that fractionated coconut oil, and then you rub it on an area, and it'll actually help to sanitize that area. And so it's much more healthy than an artificial. Use that with the adaptive, which you can rub that on the back of your neck, just put a drop on there, or something like Deep Blue. So some of you have gotten this already. I've given it to you after an adjustment. I'm going to pass this around. This is like a muscle rub. If your muscles are sore or tired, all you want to do is put a little drop on the tip of your finger, and then rub that into a sore spot. And that's actually going to help to get, and you can see the ingredients on there. It's got things like peppermint and wintergreen in there to give you the menthol release. It's also got things in there that'll help to build up broken down tissue. Get that there. Soreness and help to aid in the healing process there.
Would that help my feet?
I believe it would. Yeah, I believe it would. So quiz time. Who can give me an example of a health concern or symptom that you might want to use an essential oil for topically? Headache, yep, a symptom. A headache would be a good time to use that. Deep Blue being an example of that. Don't want to get it too close to your eyes though. It'll make you. The Deep Blue, it's coming around, it's the cream here. Don't get it too close to your eyes, the Deep Blue. Yeah, you can use that for headache. That's one of the things. There are other things too. Adaptive is a good one if you really want to get into the mental side of headaches. People that are dealing with chronic pain have to deal with the psychology of pain as much as we actually have to deal with the injured area. Internally, so you guys already got to try this internally. So you can put a few drops in water, which is what we did with the lemon, right? So I made a very, very light lemonade. I didn't want to get the flavor too strong because I wasn't sure exactly what it would taste like without my measuring tools. But this is a way to get into your digestive system faster. So you take it in internally. So for any of these that are labeled with I, which if you want to know where the labels are, you can either get the big book or anybody that's ordering a kit tonight, I'm going to buy one of these quick reference guides for you so that you have one of these. But inside you'll see the list of all the oils and it'll say how you take it on there and the little colors are there. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this around as well. But yeah, we did that with the lemon. You can actually, with that lemon, or let's see, the citrus bliss is another one. If you guys want, you can drip a little bit under your tongue and you'll taste that flavor. Even though you don't want to do it on top of the tongue, you can do it underneath. But go ahead and give that a smell. If you've been in the office the last month or two, you've definitely smelled that one. We love that one. Digestin is a really good one for this internally. If you take this before or after a meal, you're dealing with digestive issues, they'll actually aid in proper digestive support. One of our supplements on our shelves, the GI support, that actually has the essential oils in there that this is made up with to help get those digestive enzymes and those probiotics into your gut. So that's absolutely something that you want to do. So what's an example of a health concern or symptom that you might want to use an essential oil for internally? Exactly. Yeah, just steal the one I just gave you, right? Perfect. She's learning faster, guys. Anybody else have an example? Some health concern that you might want to use it for internally? Yeah. Yeah, that's external, but yes. Yeah. All right. So what are the three main ways that we can use essential oils? We just kind of talked about them, the three categories. You can put it topically, internally, and breathe it in. Exactly. So those are the three categories of ways that we can do that. So I mentioned breathe. This is one, when my kids get snuffly, I'll put a diffuser in their room and let that go out into the air. You can also put it on their chest with some fractionated coconut oil and let it sit there so it's right there every time that they take a breath as well. And that can definitely help with breathing day and night. Helps with lungs and sinuses. People with COVID that are still feeling a little clogged up, we were running this in our bedroom with that. Yeah, except Vicks is a pharmaceutical grade oil. It's petroleum oil, petroleum jelly, right? And so it gives you the Vicks and it opens things up, but then at the same time, you're getting chest cancer, right? Take that. Everybody get the citrus bliss? Yep. All right. So lemon, that's the one that you had in your drink on your way in today. If you want some more, we got about a half pitcher left on that. But you can also use this you can use this to clean. Lemon has traditionally for generations been a cleaning product. You just squeeze some out there, maybe mix it with a little white vinegar just to get that acidic inside your body. It actually takes things from acidic to basic. It helps you decrease your acidity level, which is huge with cancer. Absolutely huge. Frankincense is a good one topically. I do this on any skin spots that I want to heal faster, whether that's a scar or just warping with the sunspots. I don't know, whatever. Helps with anti-aging. What? Liver spots. Yep. It just helps the cells to perform better. I mean, you think about what Jesus was given at birth: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Myrrh is another essential oil that's beneficial as well. These are just some of my favorites. I'm not listing them all. Not going to go through them all. Before there was adaptive, there was copaiba. Just great, tons of antioxidants in there, supporting immune health, digestive health, respiratory health, mental health, skin as well. So there's three ways to get these. You can buy them from the grocery store, right? Especially like Natural Grocers, or I think Whole Foods carries some. I don't know, but you're going to pay for a huge markup when you buy them individually like that. The second way you get them is you can get them wholesale. And that's, you can get a membership through doTERRA, you can get a membership through Young Living. And third one is actually the best value on this, especially if you know this is something that you want to create as a lifestyle, would be to purchase a starter kit. And so starter kits, you get to waive the membership fee. It's $35 to join doTERRA. And then it's a deeper discount on top of that because you're getting percentages off. So the form that I gave you guys coming in has options on the back for how to order those, what to order those for. Your first option is the Natural Solutions Starter Kit. So this is for some of you that are looking for the whole thing. So this includes everything from the diffuser to some of the supplements to some of the topical stuff. It's got the Deep Blue in there for anybody that was interested in that. It's got an omega supplement. It's got energy supplements. It's really good. I didn't get this one because I do the Max Living supplements, but this is one I'm recommending for people that really need a whole makeover on their lifestyle. Second one, this is the one I did get, and you notice that because I got the 15-ounce bottles and not the 15 milliliters, not 5 milliliter bottles. This is more. This is 250 drops, so approximately 80 servings if you're using 3 servings or 3 drop servings with these. But it comes with the most all these supplements that I listed out here. It comes with all those, and it comes with the diffuser, and it comes with a pretty nice diffuser as well. So that's a great way to get started. That one's $270 for that one. The next one is if you just want to dip your toes in and kind of see how it feels a little bit. This one gets you all those same 10, but it comes in the 5 milliliter bottles, and then a smaller diffuser. Still a good diffuser, but it's smaller, and you just get to see how it works. So a little bit cheaper with that. Yeah, so on your sheets, there's also a spot for you to list your top health concerns. That helps me guide you with, do you need a starter kit? Do you need to just join? And then the second page or second part of that is what you're doing next. Do you want more information on essential oils? Do you want to host a class for your friends and family so we can teach more about that? Learn how to get them paid for. Do you want to learn how to supplement your income? Do you want to sell them yourself? You can absolutely do that as well. And then action steps overall is you guys have to identify what's the low-hanging fruit. Maybe it's not essential oils today, right? Maybe some of you, we don't want to jump into essential oils quite yet. Maybe you just need to start with the multivitamin. Maybe you're not taking a multivitamin yet. That's the first place I recommend everybody start. Maybe it's to set up a consult with me. For many of us, we need to start by taking the LRQ, or it's been over 6 months since our last time that we took the lifestyle risk questionnaire. Go back, let us know on your way out. We'll text you a link to this. This will tell us where you're at greatest risk for suffering from dysfunction, even without it starting to feel bad. And so this is something that we should do at least every 6 months, but I would recommend closer to once every 3 months. So we're able to track progress, and it'll score you with how well you're doing. I know when I took it the first time, I was doing really well. The next time back, I loosened up a little bit on some stuff, got more sugar in my diet, hadn't been exercising as much, bounced back, scored well again. This is something that's going to fluctuate as your habits and the things that you're doing on a daily basis fluctuate. So definitely get that LRQ. If you are moving into essential oils, like I said, I'm going to give you, I'm going to order some of those essential oils starter guides for everyone that buys one today, plus all the savings that you're going to get off of the starter kit. But fill out your order form tonight. I'll submit those, and then those will be shipped directly to your house. That's not something you're going to pick up here. I'm not going to sell those retail because it requires too much of a markup on you guys. I don't have as strong a partnership with doTERRA as I have with Max Living. So to give you guys the most savings, it's best if you get a membership and a starter kit to be able to do those savings as well. And then if you need to get the Essential Life Guide, if you really want to get into oils, really learn more about this, this is basically the Bible for oils right now. If you really want to go deep on it, get this, really do your research, figure out how best you're going to use oils, because this is all about you. If it's about exercising, great. How can I support you? If it's about eating better, tell me where you're struggling. Let me help support you in eating better. We've been working with many of you on what's the next steps for a while. But if we need a consult, we have to schedule that as well. If you need a nervous system exam or have a friend or family member that needs a nervous system evaluation, they haven't had one, guess what? As a gift to you guys tonight, I'm going to do that at no charge. free x-rays, free digital nerve scan, but they have to be signed up for an exam before July 4th, because that's where I'm going to be. Gone, right? And if somebody I loved had pressure damage on their nervous system, and I can say this from experience, I would absolutely do everything in my power to make sure that they got checked. Because my wife, she had a scoliosis and we had no idea. My kids were misaligned just from the birth process. And with Zeke, us finding that actually saved his life. Right? And you know his story, 6 months old, he quits breathing. And it wasn't, he didn't start having seizures because he was missing that anti-seizure medication that they gave him in the emergency room. He's having seizures because his atlas was so far misaligned that it was pressing on his brainstem. And nobody knows to check for that, except for a chiropractor. And so I'm here for you guys. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you out with that.
Can I say something about how great you are?
You're welcome to say anything that's great about me.
I have been going to 2 different chiropractors over the years. And I've worked for Goodyear and the railroad, and it's hard work. And they never done anything that you have done for me. They were kind of keeping me on kind of what, maintenance?
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
They weren't putting me back. Well, they weren't straightening my neck out, or they weren't straightening my back out like you have. So they were just keeping me in maintenance. So
I agree with her.
Yeah.
great.
So YouTube and Facebook, they all say I'm the best, and you should definitely come. All right. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to come over here to the counter. If you need help with supplements and picking them out, I'll kind of try to guide you. But if you need a consult, definitely go and see JC. JC's going to be checking people out with those supplements, though. If she starts getting backed up, I'll move over to the desk to help with that. But if you want the discount on the starter kit, fill that out before you go. Make sure that all of your card information or your check, if you're going to write a check for me tonight, that we have that so I can go ahead and get that shipped to you. So ideally you can get that before the 4th of July break, and we all have to take a break with that. Okay? All right. Good job, guys.
I walked in front of that, I'm sorry.